Hi there, PR3s, and welcome to this quick summary class on what we've covered in week 1 to 3 for PR3 in 2022. So class of 2022, welcome. Today, I'm quickly going to go over everything that we've covered in week 1, week 2, and week 3. But obviously, first up, it's very, very important that you make sure that you go onto Cole Campus and you look at all the information that you will be, all the information that is on Cole Campus for PR3. So if you look here, basically you will see that there is a subject outline that explains everything that we cover in PR3. You will also see week 1, there's a roadmap for every class, which basically outlines what we're going to cover in every class. You'll also see there is a PowerPoint presentation, and extra reading and extra slides for week 1. So everything that you need is there. You just need to hop onto Cole Campus and have a look. You'll also see that there's a separate little block here, which covers the formative assessment, so your first assignment. And that assignment, there will be a separate video, which I will brief you on and show you how to do. Week 2 and week 3, you'll see there's quite a lot of information here. So very important that you pop onto Cole Campus and just familiarize yourself with everything that's there and everything that we will need over the next few weeks and months as we progress through PR3. So first up, I just wanted to give you an introduction into PR3 and what you can expect this year. There is lovely slides on Cole Campus that I'm sharing with you now, the class of 2022, and basically that you need to get ready for a seriously tough year. One of your primary goals for this year is obviously to pass and to pass really well. And I think it's important that you look at what we look for in the industry when we want to employ PR professionals. And so it's not a case of looking at your mark, it's looking at your knowledge. And if your mark is 70% and above, basically that means you have a really strong grasp of PR and everything that we do in it. So you really need to look at all your marks and everything that you do and set yourself a personal goal of 70% and above, making sure that you put in all the effort that you can, that your every single assignment that you submit is a 70% or above. It's worthy of noting that you should consider your lecturer. So whether you're studying in Durban or Pretoria or Sandton, your PR lecturer is actually your client. And everything that you submit is basically a pitch for business. And everything that you submit, you should ask yourself, if I am submitting this, is it good enough to be to get me business? Would this be good enough for a client to look at and go, wow, this is someone that I really want to work with? So everything you do is a pitch for business, and basically you need to start the way you mean to finish. So if you want to finish with the 70% average, that means your FA1 needs to be a 70% assignment. The way that you start is really going to impact the way that you finish. It's going to be a tough year, and it's going to be a year that you're going to put in serious effort in terms of surviving it. And one of the best ways to survive this year is learning how to manage your time, getting to know your classmates, because they can be valuable assets. You might be good at one thing, but they might be good at something else. And that might really help you if you can work together to help each other. And so if you're a team player, you really can work together to be really good at PR. Obviously, you need to ask questions. You mustn't be scared to put your hand up and ask a question. Attend every single class, all right? You should have 2 separate classes per week based on your timetable. And those classes are just so important that you make use of your lecturer and you make use of all the knowledge and the skills that we have. It's not just about a textbook. It's about listening to our stories, listening to our real life experience and the real clients that we have, and applying that to your PR and your PR knowledge. Take notes. Make sure you always come to class with a pen and paper and you take notes. Don't waste time, energy, or money doing a SUP. Remember, you have to pay for SUPs this year, so don't waste time SUPing. Rather, put all the effort into your first attempt. And then obviously you need to pursue your goals this year with ruthless determination. Every bit of effort and energy that you put in now will obviously determine the success that you have in your future. Procrastination is the killer of third years. Every student that we speak to always talks about how they wish they hadn't procrastinated so much. So look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you procrastinating? Why are you putting off this assignment? Sometimes it's because we're lazy, we're just too lazy to start. Sometimes it's because we're not sure what we're doing, so we're scared we're going to fail, so we don't start. And other times it's because we're perfectionists and we just want to make sure everything is perfect. So understand who you are and then work towards not procrastinating and being a much better student. Your PR goals for this year: expand your media list. Outdated lists are obviously just unprofessional and not acceptable. So work on expanding your media list. Become an excellent writer and grow and expand your knowledge of South African media. Start behaving like a PR professional. Obviously, every bit of work that you submit, hand it in like it is something that you're handing to a client. Come to class prepared, having read everything, watch the videos, and go back to all the additional collateral and the additional material that we give you and make sure that you understand it all. Become addicted to news, become addicted to events, become addicted to South African companies, crises, and things that are going on. And obviously make a decision now about the kind of public relations you want to be in. What kind of field do you want to be in, whether it's lifestyle, sport, entertainment, business, internal comms, media relations, or crisis communications. Decide now what kind of PR professional you want to be. A saying that I personally live by: don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. A great saying by Muhammad Ali: put in the time, put in the effort, put in the energy now, so that you come out at the end as successful as you possibly can be. Teamwork is also very important. Your teammates, your classmates are going to help you get through this year. So just remember that with everything that you do. We're going to cover a lot in third year. We've already covered the professional world of PR and ethics and public relations. And then obviously you can see all the other topics that we're going to get through during this very busy year. If you find that you want to help yourself becoming a professional and level-headed and positive, I always fall back on the 4 agreements by Miguel Ruiz. You can read up more about them and what falls under them, but basically be impeccable with your word. Don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally, and always do your best. Are 4 agreements that I have committed to myself when it comes to everything that I do in my professional life. Remember also, you're not just representing Boston Media House and the diploma that you're studying. You are also representing your lecturers. We are professionals in the industry, and obviously you are representing us when you go out into the industry. So we've taken many, many years to build up our professional reputations, and the stakes are very, very high. And we've got reputations of having the best students. So remember that when you're out there and everything that you do, that you're not just representing yourself and your family and Boston Media House, but you are also representing the lecturers that have got you where you need to be. Also in third year, important that you look at the word appropriate. Ask yourself, what is the appropriate way to behave, the suitable or proper way to behave, to email, to WhatsApp, to speak, to dress. All of this is important about establishing yourself as a professional. Assignments you're going to have in PR3, you're going to have your presentation on ethics and a public relations plan to fix reputational damage done by an unethical organization. You're going to work on a charity campaign, you're going to do a live press conference, and you're going to obviously complete your summative assignment, which is a very detailed portfolio, basically your PR2 portfolio, but in a lot more detail and a lot more professional. Look back at at 2021, look back at PR2, depending on when you did PR2, and look at what you learned from PR2 and what you learned from 2021. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And how can you do things a little bit differently this year? Obviously, you don't want to be making the same mistakes over and over again. So look differently at this year, learn from your mistakes and reflect upon how the year was that passed and how you can improve on it this year. Also, if you read back on these slides, you will see there's quite a bit of detail and feedback that we've included, which is the feedback on the assignments that the class of 2021 did. So a very good way to learn is to look at the mistakes that others made before you. So read all this feedback from the lecturers on the FA1, on the assignments done by last year's group, and then obviously use it as an opportunity to improve upon the work that was done and to improve upon the work that your predecessors did. And then maybe you can use that to help you be a better student. Right, so understanding trends and looking at trends and how the world is around us is also very, very important when it comes to making yourself a well-rounded and professional PR practitioner. So if you have a look at your slides, you will see there is some wonderful slides on all the trends in 2022 when it comes to public relations and what we can expect and how we can implement those trends. So go on to Cole Campus and find those slides and go through all the trends that are shaping the industry this year. And obviously look at those trends and see if you can implement some of the planning, some of the information, some of the things that are going on in our industry, and see if you can implement those and if you can go through those yourself. And put them into your PR campaigns and really use them in a modern and proper PR campaign. Right, now, if you also look on Cole Campus, you will see, I'm just going to bring it up for you, all the information that is available for you to learn and to study and to get up to speed for week 2 of public relations. So if you look at Cole Campus, you'll see that again, there is a roadmap. There are 10 tips on how to be a more successful public relations professional. There is also Michelle Obama did a wonderful video on her advice for a student. And if you can apply that, it will really, really help you. So have a look at that video. And then basically we looked at feedback on your PR2 portfolio and how you can better yourself as a PR professional. Now, that PR portfolio that you did in second year and all the 7 sections that are in it, if you can apply all that feedback and if you can look at the work that you did and improve upon it, you will find it is a lot easier to do the public relations 3 assignments. So each of the assignments that you did in PR2 and your final portfolio that you updated, that you uploaded and submitted, and the mark that you got for that, all of that, if you apply all of that feedback and all of that knowledge, you will then be able to move forward with third year and basically use the building blocks to become a better PR person. So I strongly suggest you have a look on Cole Campus and read up and improve your knowledge on what PR activities are. So the activities that we use and the activities that we follow in public relations. There are great notes on Cole Campus. There's also information on PR and research and how important research is in our public relations lives, putting together a 7-step plan, and also understanding editorial angles and ideas, very, very important. Also have a look at PR objectives and evaluation criteria, and just go back to writing a media release and just try and improve your knowledge on media release writing and being a much better PR writer and PR presenter and understanding all that feedback that we gave you on your past assignments in PR2, understanding how important that is and applying it now to everything that you do in PR3. So something that is also very important in public relations and something that we've spent quite a bit of time on so far is the professionalization of public relations and understanding why it's so important to be viewed as a professional, and everything that we do is seen as professional and important and representative of our industry. And it's so important that you, as a young PR practitioner, represent the industry that we are in and everything that is professional about it. So obviously, we need to recognize that PR practitioners are professionals and that we deserve the salaries that we get, and we deserve the responsibility and the roles that we have. So we have to understand what a profession is, and a professional is a person occupying a particular kind of position obtained through extensive education and test taking. So as a PR professional, when you leave Boston Media House, you have put in a lot of study, you've done a lot of assignments, and you have done a lot of work that you have put in to make you a professional and to show that you have studied material and studied situations and studied the environment and the world that is out there. So the professional world of PR means that you understand the theory and you are then understanding the intellectual tradition, who we work for, how we work. And it also implies that you are in a position of trust and you are considered to be part of the moral community of public relations. So basically, there is selection criteria when it comes to public relations. You had to have passed standardized tests and done standardized assignments. There are codes of ethics that guide the work that we do, and there are obviously review boards and regulatory institutions. This is all stuff that we covered in PR2 when we spoke about PRISA, the Public Relations Institute of South Africa. Obviously, in order to be seen as a professional and not just someone who is skilled because of years of experience, but because you are a skilled professional, there are certain areas of competence, a body of knowledge, there's self-confidence, consciousness, competence of entrance, continued education, and support of research, and being interdependent, and obviously really understanding the industry that you are in and the people that you represent. The profession, why is public relations so important? Why do we need to be seen as being professionals? All of this falls under PR, and the reason why it is important for public relations to be seen as a professional body and professional people that are representing the industry. Obviously, the stakes are ridiculously high with PR and representing brands and representing businesses and who we work for. The stakes are ridiculously high in today's modern world. And so very important that you just read all the notes, you understand who PRISA is, what is the PR profession, what are the standards of a professionalization of PR, and why it is so important that we represent this industry so professionally. And then obviously the next thing that we move on to for the first 3 weeks of public relations is understanding ethics. Now, it's important that you understand the theory of what ethics is and how it fits in, because, and in another briefing video, I will share with you the brief of your first assignment, which is on ethics. But obviously, it's very important that you understand what ethics is and how being ethical in our profession is so important. So when you have a look at what is on Cole Campus, and you can see all the notes in, starting off in week 3, we look at professionalization and PR, and then we move on to ethics and how ethics is so important. So if you look under week 3, there's a roadmap. We talk about the professionalization of PR, and then we look at moving on to what is ethics and how that will fit in to your assignment that you do for PR. And then very importantly, the last bit of work that we need to cover and make sure that you cover and understand is understanding ethics and how ethics guides everything that we do in public relations and guides our campaigns, the ideas that we come up with, the work that we produce. And so whilst we in the last 3 weeks have briefed you on your assignment that you have to do, it's important that you understand the assignment and how it fits into ethics and understanding what ethics is. So whilst there will be a separate video briefing you on your FA1, you have to apply the knowledge from week 4 and week 3 to this assignment so that you understand how to do it and the importance of ethics and what being an ethical person is. So let me share with you these slides. Just give me 2 seconds while I find them. Right, so ethics in public relations and how that is part of who we are and everything that we embody in public relations. So the truth is never really pure and is never simple. One person's version of the truth is very different to another person's version of the truth. And we always say that there's one side of a story, another side of the story, and somewhere in between is the truth. But basically, as a public relations practitioner, speaking the truth and being truthful is a guiding principle that we have to have. And we have to integrate ethics into decision-making and making sure that our leaders and our public relations practitioners are very ethical individuals and ethical people. Unfortunately, there are daily reports all the time of what unethical behavior is and how corporations, business executives, and government officials behave unethically. And that means as a PR practitioner, we need to understand what constitutes an acceptable ethical behavior, an acceptable way of behaving. And there must be a mechanism for ensuring that an organization does continuously follow ethical principles. So before you can understand what is ethical, you need to understand the definition of ethics. And basically, ethics is the moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. And that basically means that it's a value-based system and it stems from many socio and economic contexts. So we talk about what is good for individuals and what is good for society. The word ethics is derived from the Greek word ethos, which means a custom, a habit, a character, or a disposition. Obviously important that you go onto Cole Campus, and there are some lovely videos that you can watch on what is ethics and the definition of ethics, and some ethical scenarios that you should watch and have a look and see how you would behave in a certain situation. There are some theories that you need to understand when we look at ethics. The Kantian theory is basically that ethics is what rational people would find acceptable. So we'd look at the pros and the cons of an issue and focus on the rights of others and basically what we believe in our value-based systems and how we would put those into practice. The utilitarian theory implies that we are ethical because we are scared of what might happen if we aren't ethical. So this theory suggests that basically we make business decisions and we are responsible because we know that the outcomes are quite serious if we are seen to be unethical or behaving in an unethical manner. And then lastly, there's the contractual theory, which basically means that there are laws that monitor our behavior. And so we rely on those laws to enforce our ethical behavior. You need to ask yourself, why do you behave ethically? Why would you be an ethical person and say no to doing something or yes to doing something? We look at our cultural norms and our societal norms as well. So every culture, every society that we live in has a set of rules and a set of norms that we follow. And basically, we might have a conflicting ethical decision because of societal norms that kind of guide us or pull us or ask us to do something that isn't the norm that we would expect or the norm that we would have. But pretty much ethical organizations make ethical decisions. So businesses will reflect on the environment that they live in and see what the tolerance is. There is government, there's laws, there's regulations, and that might help us in putting our ethics together. But obviously, what is ethical, what is right, what is good has to be daily and part of how our business operates. And it's considered a business asset. It's considered good business to have information and programs to implement ethical policies and ethical conduct. So you have your business that operates, has an ethical code of conduct that guides everyone and that shows what is right and that what is wrong. Obviously, there needs to be a commitment by top management to be ethical. If senior management isn't giving constant leadership on how to be ethical, then employees will obviously not feel the need to be ethical if senior management isn't doing the same thing. It's got to be reviewed and renewed and looked at all the time. And it's a commitment that is made by all of our employees. And our ethical programs and commitment must be looked at and assessed all the time. There is much debate about public relations and ethics. Some question the ethical conduct of those calling themselves PR professionals and ask if what PR people are doing is actually ethical. But basically, we use our strategic communication for ethical purposes, and we don't use PR and the knowledge and the skills that we have for unethical purposes. And basically, PR practitioners can be seen to being unethical, perhaps because they don't understand what PR is. And this goes back to the professionalization of public relations and appreciating what the functions are and the goals are and what we do in public relations. And that will then make it easier to be seen as being ethical and being valuable and to a business and to society. Because PR can't be clearly defined, there is a belief that we use journalists and that we evolve from journalism and that we can then shape or spin a story. And basically, that's not a great way for PR to be viewed. We want to be seen as that there is minimum standards, there's standards of practice, there's a theoretical basis for all the decisions that we make, and that PR represents values and ethics, and that the values and ethics of an organization could be seen differently to the values and ethics of a PR practitioner. And if the PR practitioner works for an organization that is unethical, then the practitioner is unethical, where the situation might be that the practitioner was asked to do something. So there is quite a bit that guides us and forms us and shapes us, but very important that you watch the videos and you read the notes and the slides that are all placed on Cole Campus to give you a proper understanding of what PR is, of what ethics is, and what values are. So that's just a very quick introduction into what we've covered in the first 3 weeks of public relations. Obviously, very important that you make contact with your lecturer. You make sure that you know your lecturer's email address and WhatsApp phone numbers. If there is a WhatsApp group, make sure you're on one. But Cole Campus is your point of reference, and everything that you need is on Cole Campus. And then also everything that you need, you can get from your lecturers. So very important that you attend class, ask questions, and get yourself up to speed with everything that has happened in the last 3 weeks of Public Relations 3. Good luck. It's a fun year. I hope you enjoy everything. And just remember that your lecturers and the staff at Boston are here to help you. So if you do have any questions or concerns, please get in touch with us quickly so that we can get you up to speed and answer any questions that you might have.